Did you just fail your German practical driving exam? It's because you didn't practice the Autobahn enough. Let's change that. So we're reaching the Autobahn. So just doing an indication, making sure everybody knows that I'm going into the Autobahn lane. That's the start of Autobahn. So basically not the exact start, but it's going to begin soon. So this is a lane that leads to the Autobahn. So we are on acceleration lane. Basically we need to join the Autobahn. So just doing an indication, doing a shoulder view, very important. Checking at your shoulder side. If everything is clear, then you just smoothly join the Autobahn. This is still an acceleration lane, so we need to just join the main Autobahn now. So how we're going to do that, we're just smoothly entering it, and we have entered the Autobahn. And there's this speed sign limit. So it basically says that it's unlimited speed. By the way, very important fact actually is that not the whole Autobahn is speed limit free. It's actually 60 to 70% that has like no speed limit, but there is 30 to 35 to 40% almost which has a speed limit. It could be because of a traffic like problem, because there are construction sites and stuff, and there could be that there the speed limit is 60, 80, 100 depending on the situation, and there are some just normal Autobahns with less than 130 speed limit, sometimes 80, 100, 120. But 70% of the Autobahn is actually limit free. So we are on the Autobahn. On this blue sign, you basically see the locations where you can go. So you need to make sure you lane yourself correctly. Sometimes it is like that like we are on 3-lane Autobahn right now. So the left 2 lanes, they are going to lead you to, let's say, Berlin, and the right one will lead you to, let's say, Dresden or another city. Yeah. So if you want to go Dresden, you need to make sure that you're on the extreme right hand side. If you want to go Berlin, then you have to place your car actually into the left hand side. So just make sure you follow that. We're going into the middle lane to let the truck join the Autobahn smoothly, and we're going back. We don't have to actually do that because truck needs to watch out. The car or the vehicle that is joining the Autobahn, they have to look out. So here we have 120 speed limit, so don't drive more than 120 here. Just make sure. So another basic rule of Autobahn is that you have to stay on the right hand side lane. You only can go into the middle or especially into the extreme left side if you're overtaking another car. So if I want to overtake this truck, then yes, I can go into the middle lane, overtake, and come back to the right hand side. But it's a rule in Germany that you have to stay on the right hand side on the Autobahn unless you're overtaking somebody, and never overtake someone from the right hand side. This is very, very important. If you're overtaking a car from the right hand side, that is definitely going to cause a problem, because the rule says that you cannot overtake someone from the right hand side on the Autobahn. So this is something really important. And as we use the acceleration lane and joined the Autobahn, a fun fact is that on the acceleration lane you can drive actually faster than the cars that are already driving on the Autobahn. So let's say there's a truck driving 80 kilometers and you're driving 100 kilometers on the acceleration lane to join the Autobahn. Yes, you can do that. That's no problem. But also make sure not to like senseless drive so fast that you're driving like 130 on acceleration lane only to find out that the Autobahn would have a speed limit of 80. So that's gonna cause a little confusion. So yes, you can drive fast on the acceleration lane as well, but just make sure that you look out for the traffic signs, for the speed signs, what it says. 130 is here, so it's not unlimited. We can drive 130. Don't tailgate someone. So if you're like literally behind a car, tailgating them, using your horn, using your lights, that's just a bad sign. You should not be doing that. You should make sure to keep safety distance. Safety distance is really, really extremely important. I can't emphasize that how important it is, because if you don't keep safety distance, that causes accidents. And if you're doing your driving exam, German practical driving exam, you're definitely going to fail. So don't do that. 80 speed limit, and it's also telling me to change the lane, which we're going to do. But we're going to look first, looking into the mirror, looking shoulder, like on your shoulder side. So you don't have to look at your shoulder, you just have to look behind your shoulder, so the shoulder view, because sometimes the cars are completely hidden on this shoulder view. So you have to make sure that you do this shoulder view, check if everything is clear, check the mirror, and then turn. Don't turn senseless. That can also cause trouble, accidents. You don't want that. So we're going to go back into the right hand side lane, because that's the rule. Speed limit is over. So the standard speed limit actually on Autobahn that's recommended, it's 130 kilometers. So let's say you're doing your Fahrprüfung, which basically means your driving test, your driving exam in Germany, and they will take you to the Autobahn. In 95% cases they will take you to the Autobahn. So it's really important that you practice the Autobahn. So once you are on the Autobahn, make sure you're not speeding senseless. Like yes, it could have no speed limit, but that doesn't mean you should just speed senseless. Just speed up to a level which you can control. And recommended speed limit, if you're doing a driver's exam in Germany, I recommend 130. I don't recommend more than that. So just go 130. Try to stay on the right hand side as much as possible, unless you're overtaking. So we're gonna do that. I'm gonna show you that right now. So I'm gonna overtake these two trucks. Let's do that. I have indicated already. So we're gonna change lanes smoothly. Did you see how smoothly I changed the lane? So when you change lanes on the Autobahn, don't just like rush to the left hand side or right hand side. Smoothly transition. Driving smooth is like extremely important. It creates like a wonderful driving experience. And if you're doing your practical driving exam, that's really, really important. If you're driving smoothly, you have a plus point. So you're going to pass your driver's test then. So we have passed this truck from the left hand side. No overtaking from the right hand side. So just remember that. Indicating back, we're going to go back to the right hand side, because that's the rule. But look how smoothly, you can see it probably in the camera, that there was a smooth transition. So it says 100 by Nessa, which means if the roads are wet, you need to drive 100. If the roads are wet, you need to drive 80 now specifically. But since the road is not really wet, we can drive a little more, but I still recommend to just control your speed in these kind of situations. There is a thing in Germany which is basically an emergency corridor. So it's called Rettungsgasse. So that is where you build space for ambulances and stuff, because they need to reach the hospital regardless of the traffic jam, because sometimes you will experience a good amount of traffic jam on the Autobahn, even which takes hours to clear. But the people who need to hospitalize and stuff, they obviously need to reach the hospital as soon as possible. So how you do that? You build Rettungsgasse in a way that the cars that are on the left hand lane will go to the extreme left side. The cars that are on the right hand side lane will go to the extreme right. Now you would be wondering, where do the cars go which are in the middle lane? The middle lane will also go to the extreme right hand side. So then you have this space next to the left lane, which creates a space for ambulances to rush through, reach the exit, and reach the hospital. So if it says Rettungsgasse, or actually it wouldn't say, it would be more like you would know that if there's a traffic jam, you need to build the Rettungsgasse yourself. So for example, if I see a complete traffic jam in front of me at the moment, I'm going to turn on my hazard lights to let the cars behind me know that there's a traffic jam. If you don't do that, it could cause an accident. So make sure to turn on the hazard lights. And then if you're in the left hand side lane, go extreme left. Right hand side lane, go extreme right. And if you're in the middle lane, go to the extreme right hand side and build this one extra lane. Don't use that lane for yourself. Don't be like, oh, I need to reach a place like really fast, or I need to reach home or something, you know, and just go like, oh, I'm gonna use this lane for that. Don't do that. Look there above, it says bei Stau Rettungsgasse, which means by traffic jam, build an emergency corridor. So yeah, make sure don't just use that lane for yourself. I see sometimes cars and motorcycles doing that. Really extremely bad behavior. You don't do that. That is only for emergency vehicles, for police cars or ambulances that could save lives, you know. So make sure to build that. That is something important about the Autobahn that you guys should know. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go to the extreme left hand side lane now and overtake both of the trucks, just to show you guys how it works. So we're in the middle lane and now we're going to the left hand side lane. I've looked into the mirror, looked into the shoulder view, everything looks good. So now you go back into the right hand side. There will always be cars that are faster than you. So for example, this one. And he didn't indicate going into the middle lane. Bad behavior. If you do that in in a driving exam, your chances are you will fail. Use your indications, please, definitely, when you're changing lanes on Autobahn, or in general actually as well. So speed limit will be over. We see a sign. So there's this sign, speed limit is gone. Germans love this traffic sign because then they can drive as fast as they want to. But once again, like I said, if it's your driving exam, I don't recommend driving more than 130 still. So we're going to take an exit just to show you guys how you exit on an Autobahn. On the exit lane, don't get too slow as well. So if you get like too slow, like literally on the exit lane, if you're driving like 30-35 kilometers, that's wrong. Just transition and start going slowly. And there's also a rule, once you see this triple line while exiting the Autobahn, you need to do an indication. So here you see the triple line. Triple line means 300 meters away is the exit. Double is 200 meters and so on. So here we go. Indication has been turned on. So we're going to start to get slow down, but not extreme slow. So little slow. I'm about 80 now, 70. Now I'm 60. Now I'm 50. And now I'm 45-ish because I'm taking a curve. So on the curves, you don't also want to be too fast. So I hope this helps me telling you what was my speed. So let's go on to the left hand side. Position yourself onto the left hand side. Indication, there's a give way sign. We need to give way to the traffic that's already here. I've already made a video about give way sign. So we're going to wait here. So no cars. We can join this road. So we're going to join the Autobahn again. A give way sign is there. No cars I see. So So let's talk about this acceleration lane. I'm right now driving 45, which is pretty good because it's a curve. We can't drive faster than that. Right now I'm like more like 40. So here we can do the pedal to the metal thing. So indication, shoulder, mirrors, everything looks good. Smoothly joining the Autobahn. So that's how you use the acceleration lane. Staying on the right hand side as much as we can. If I would need to overtake someone, yes, I will go into the middle lane and the left hand side lane. But if I don't need to overtake someone, I shall stay on the right hand side. Another important thing, stopping on Autobahn is basically forbidden. So I cannot stop here onto the right hand side and let's say start taking pictures or eat my food or something like that. You should not do that. You should not use the Autobahn to do things like that. I know in many other countries you can use the highway to just like stop at the side and just check out the view and stuff. Don't do that in Germany. So if you do need to eat or do need to take rest and stuff, there are proper places called Autohof on Autobahn. So you go there, there are places to rest, relax, have snacks and stuff, fuel up. You will find these places pretty often actually. It's not like that they are 100 kilometers away each time, no. Pretty often you will find this place and then you can go there and then you can just relax and stuff. So another very important thing is that sometimes when there's construction site and stuff like that on the Autobahn, you might find yourself yellow road markings. So in that case, you follow the yellow road markings and not the white ones. So at the moment we see the white ones, yeah? But in case you find yourself in this traffic jam, construction site and stuff, and there are yellow lines, follow the yellow lines. Then the white lines are not valid anymore. Like forget that white even exists then. So the yellow markings take priority over white markings. So make sure that you follow the yellow road markings and not the white one, because if you start to follow the white one, you're gonna just get completely out of the way. If you're doing that in your practical driving exam in Germany, that's a cause to fail the exam. So make sure you just check that out. Also, don't get extremely slow on the Autobahn. So let's say it's unlimited speed zone, let's talk about that. And usually, like I said, recommended speed limit is 130. But if you're driving, although you're driving on the right hand side, and let's say you're driving 50, 55, 60, like definitely don't do that. That's too slow. We also, obviously we don't want to get too fast and get out of control speed. Like I mentioned, we shouldn't do that, but we should also not be too slow, the Autobahn, otherwise you will cause traffic jams and stuff. That's not ideal. If you do that in the exam, you can fail, so don't do that. These are the points that needs to be noted. You're going to see now that this blue sign above, which says the locations, you can place yourself into the correct locations. So it clearly says in which direction you will go to what city. So we want to exit here. So what we're going to do, I've started doing indication. You need to do at this 300 meter. You need to start indicating so the cars behind know that you're exiting. So I'm not getting slow yet. So now I'm starting to get slower, and smoothly we're going to exit. So just like that, easy peasy. I'm in the third gear now, 45 kilometer speed. So we're getting off the Autobahn. So let's say we need to go to the right hand side, and I'm going to drive further, although the traffic light was red. But I've done that because there was this green arrow which we need to talk about, but let's talk about in another video. Another famous German traffic rule. So we have officially exited the Autobahn. 70 speed limit we find ourselves in. So once you exit the Autobahn, you will usually see the speed limit around 70. Could be 50, could be 80, could be different, but that's the usual. So you basically need to practice the Autobahn. That just doesn't come straight away. It will take time to practice and learn properly, because especially if you're doing that right as a beginner, you might get afraid because there are just these fast cars next to you. You might get afraid joining, you might get afraid while exiting, especially get afraid when you are on the Autobahn. So these are the few points, but the more you practice, the better you're gonna get. It's all about joining the Autobahn correctly. So doing the indication, looking into the shoulder view, looking into the mirrors, doing everything you can to properly join the Autobahn, because that's the first task that you need to do. Joining the Autobahn is like one of the big tasks at hand. So obviously if you senseless join, it wouldn't make sense. It could cause an accident, it could cause you to fail your driver's test. So join smoothly and properly, and once you are on the Autobahn, the rules you need to follow properly. And when you exit the Autobahn, there are also these rules that you need to follow properly. So while exiting, make sure you do an indication once you see this 300-meter traffic sign. So make sure to turn on your indication. Make sure not to get too slow because you are still on the Autobahn. So once you join the exit lane, also make sure you suddenly don't drop the speed limit to 40. Transition it smoothly. So once you're inside the curve, I recommend being around 40, 50, that's fine. But before the curve, you should not be driving 30 or something. So make sure that you follow these tips and signs. Also, when you drive on the Autobahn in Germany, and let's say the speed limit is 80 or 100, and you're driving senseless 130, 140, and if a blitzer caught your eye, so there's a thing in Germany called blitzer. It's basically automatically taking a beautiful picture of you and just sending it to your house cost free, and it doesn't come with a frame. But yeah, there you will find yourself in a little bit of trouble, because there will be a fine on that, which could be anywhere from 30 euros to several hundred euros, depending on what kind of rule you broke. And it can also happen that if you have a driver's license already, if you're not a learner, if you're not a student who's learning driving to get driver's license, then you could get a point on your driver's license. And there's this point system in Germany. So you get, if you get 8 points, so let's say if you broke a law, you might get 1 point or 2 points, depending on the severity of the law you broke. And let's say if you have 8, they will take your driver's license away forever. So that's really, really, really sad. So make sure to follow the rules properly.